I just had a cracking conversation in a client session, and I really wanted to come in here and tell you about it and share it with you because I think that it's a conversation that we're not having, and it's one that we really need to have. Because here's the thing, if you're circling around this exhaustion and constant burnout, and you've been in the spiritual industry or you're tapped in and connected to your own spirituality, personal development, even transformation, whatever that looks like for you, then I'm here to tell you that maybe that you're spiritually burnt out. Maybe it's betrayal. Maybe it's an industry that has been distorted into something where we've started to miss the point. I see so many people circling around feeling so exhausted and this constant tailspin of healing and excavation and these questions of what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Because I'm 48, and if you're around my age, then we were brought up in a generation whereby our voices weren't welcome. We were to be seen and not heard, and we had to behave in accordance to a very rigid set of rules. And so what we become really good at is being obedient, right? And then really as we've got older and perhaps we got into personal development or self-help or spirituality to help us get over some adversity or trauma or mental illness, depression, whatever it is for you, it served a purpose, right? And I honestly believe that. So I'm not going to shame anything that you've done, that I've done, because it served a purpose at a time, right? However, right now, we're in an era whereby spirituality and transformation and personal development and self-help has become so rigid, and we have to be obedient and adhere to a certain amount of things and rules and beliefs and way of life and practices that we have to fit into our day, and we have to put ourselves through the spiritual Olympics every day just so we feel a little bit worthy of maybe the universe might listen and give us shit that we want, probably don't even need, right? But the world says that, hey, this is what is required for you to be successful, for you to speak with conviction. Then you need to have accomplished ABC, and you need to have a car and a house that look like this. And I think it's about time that we kind of called bullshit on it, because I'm pretty sure God doesn't give a shit about the car you drive or the house that you live in. However, God does care, the universe does care, the spirit does care, divinity does care about what's in your heart, about what is true, about how we show up in everyday life, and the commitment that we have to build this foundation on sacred soil and not one of hate and I am wrong. How can I be better? Because we're in an industry where we are getting gaslighted, where we are getting shamed, where we are getting cancelled for having a fucking opinion, for doing things a little bit right, a little bit differently. When did that become okay? Because we're lining the pockets of people who aren't congruent, who don't have integrity and the heart of congruence, right? There has to be embodied autonomy. The women in my containers hear this a gazillion times. And while I like to think it's probably an orgasm, it's probably like, again, Renee, again, are we talking about embodied autonomy again? Yes, yes, we are. Because here's the thing is when you've been in personal development or spirituality for a while, then we're really bought into this lineage whereby we have to adhere to a certain rules, that we have to do and tick off a whole bunch of things, where spirituality and our well-being is now something that's just on our to-do list that doesn't actually feel good, that doesn't actually feel like a ritual, right? So if your spirituality is becoming something, or even meditation or journaling, whatever it is for you, is becoming something on your to-do list, if you're kind of walking that line with being in this spiritual ego whereby I have to do all of this in order to feel worthy, because this person said that I have to show up like this, because otherwise they don't trust people that don't do X, Y, Z. Guess what? An embodied human that has a heart of integrity and unconditional love will show up for you, will welcome you into their world, irregardless of what you do on your to-do list, right? Yes, I am a huge advocate to devotion and ritual and spending time to connect into your body, right? I am a somatic therapist. I understand the body. I work with all 5 bodies. But what happens when we've been in this transformational space for a while, then our spiritual body, our spirit body, there's this hierarchy, right, where the spirit body takes center stage. It becomes the most important. Our soul self is now apparently more enlightened and more worthy of things that our physical body or our emotional body isn't. So we see our mental body or our human self as less than, and we pedestal our soul self and our spirit body. Whenever we do that, we're putting the cosmic order and balance of things out of whack. It becomes power over and not power shared. And this is a real problem in the space, because it is not realistic. It is not sustainable. And guess what? It ain't spiritual, baby. It's not spiritual. And so this is what we need to sit down and have a long, hard conversation with ourselves and really begin to question the spiritual gaslighting that's going on in the space, the shaming that's going on in the space, that we have to adhere to a certain set of rules, because apparently that makes us more spiritual and therefore more worthy and more deserving through the eyes of the universe. But when you really think about it, do you think the universe cares? I'm going to say not really, not really. However, what we can do is begin to listen to the rumble underneath. What is the soil underneath? What is that underbelly? What is that current saying, right? What are you craving right now? Why do I want this thing? Right? If you're looking at, trying to barter with the universe or adhere to these set of rules, why am I doing this? Right? Sometimes it can be this obedient glitch, this good girl, this people pleaser that is actually running the show. And guess what? Sometimes the good girl and the people pleaser can be a bit of a rebel. Right? So the good little girl becomes the bad little girl. And so sometimes it's the charge that we get. So let's speak about the charge for a little minute, because this is what is keeping us from in this tailspin of just constantly going around in cycles and cycles and creating more of the same no matter what you do. So all the meditation, all the journaling, all the prayers, everything isn't getting you closer to the life that you want to live, because guess what? We're misunderstanding the currency and the point of why we're here, and our relationship and our connection with spirit, with the world. And that is to be an integrated human. That is to have an equilibrium, a balance, a mutual respect across all five bodies, across the spirit body, across the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the energy body, right? Our soul self to our human self, to be an integrated human, to see them both as the same thing. They are the same thing. And if we keep compartmentalizing our worlds and our spirituality, then we're continuing to miss the point. The universe could rain down on you everything that's on your vision board and in your journal, but you're still not going to feel fulfilled. You're still not going to feel that aliveness. So the number one go-to that I tell all of my clients, and I'm going to tell you right now, and that is to embody your autonomy, right? Inside Wildfire Rising, we do that with the 5 powers of woman. The next thing that you can do is to activate your pleasure body, right? You activate the pleasure body. You think about the pleasure body as the glue to your soul self and your human self. It's the embodiment and integration. That's what the pleasure body does. That's what it's responsible for, right? It's for integration. And so to merge and balance out all those 5 bodies. This is why the pleasure body is like a secret weapon in our lives, right? Because most people don't understand it, because we think about the pleasure body and we think of external things and people and experiences that bring us pleasure. However, the way I teach and understand and embody the pleasure body is that we can cultivate the currency of pleasure from the inside out. We need to understand pleasure and feel it as a currency that moves through our body and have a very innate and embodied experience with pleasure, because most people have shut down their pleasure. Most people ignore their pleasure, suppress their pleasure. And this is why we have so many disconnected people, including disconnected spiritual people, right? Because spiritual people can still be very disconnected to their pleasure, still shut down in their pleasure. And this is why pleasure matters so much, because it really does integrate that soul self and the human self. So, what are you going to do? What is your promise and commitment to yourself right now? What do we need to shake up? Do we need to ditch the to-do list, the spiritual to-do list? Are we going to say, no more gaslighting, see it for what it is, right? No more gaslighting, no more fear. If I feel like I need to adhere to a certain set of rules in order to be in your world, in your space, in your container, in your field, in your room, I'll go find myself another room. I'll just be here in my pleasure, in my own little field, right? I think that we need a new currency. We need a new narrative, and we can do better, because there has to be a realness and realism. It has to be sustainable, and it has to be practical, right? You could be the most connected person during meditation, yet if you get in your car and you're road raging, stressed out, like, being a bit of a wank, then you're still an azel, right? As that's what my daughter would say. And so it's that congruency piece, right? So how can we be in this world and be me? How can I be me? How can you be you? And how can we allow ourselves to have this whole, this power shared experience in this world where we can just be together and see each other and love each other without all the rules, without all the bullshit, and let it be real. And then watch the universe respond. Watch your reality shift. Because when you step into this space, your success becomes inevitable, right? Your reality changes in accordance to the currency that's moving through not one, but all five bodies. I hope you have found this helpful. If you have, let me know in the comments. Hit me up with your questions. Like, subscribe, do all the things. If you want to learn how to step into your overflow, then you can check out the link below. If you want to see Wildfire Rising and the 5 powers of woman, you can check the link below as well. Bye, everybody. I will